going to be adding the Bantam Overland backup camera to this JK. So we're going to head to the tailgate and I'll show you exactly how the backup camera mounts and how the wire is going to get run to get up to the back of the head unit. So let's move to the back of the Jeep. We're going to end up using our Bantam Overland backup camera mount. So you can see it's going to fit right here on the wheel studs that hold on your spare tire. So on this Jeep, we have the factory wheel on the back. So depending on what kind of wheels you have on your Jeep is going to depend on the placement of your backup camera mount. The eventual goal here is to get this mounted where the camera is between a couple of the spokes of the wheel, and then we can adjust it accordingly. You do have some up and down. There is an extension arm that you can articulate if it is needed for your wheel. So let's start by getting the factory tire off, and then we'll show you how this mount goes on. We're going to grab our impact here. We have 19 mil on here, so we'll go ahead and take the wheel off. All right, with our factory wheel removed, you can see how the holes in the mount here are just going to slip right over top these two wheel studs. So that's the eventual placement that we're going for. So one thing that you could do is if you had a piece of tape or something, if you wanted to kind of roll it over and stick it on the back here, that'll kind of hold it in place while you get your wheel mounted back up. All right, there we go. So just a piece of tape there on the back to temporarily hold our camera while we start running the cable. So we're going to take the twist tie off here. And you can see the third brake light here. If you follow it straight down, you can see the wire that runs right down through the tire carrier mount and is going to come out the side here and go through the tailgate. We want to follow that same path with our camera wire. We're going to take our camera wire, we're going to follow the third brake light wire and just feed it right down. And on this tire carrier, you can just reach through the side. We're going to pull our camera wire straight through. We'll just kind of let it dangle here for a minute because we need to remove this grommet here in the tailgate so that we can pass the wire through into the inside. So to do that, we're actually going to need to open the tailgate and remove a couple of panels. All right, the two panels that we're going to need to remove are the one right here along the top, and then you have this vented one. So to do that, we're going to grab one of our plastic pry tools, and we're going to start with the one with the vents in it. So on the inside here, we're going to pry on this side because we want to stay away from prying on the outside because there are three kind of hinges right there. So we'll stick our tool under and we'll pop that out. All right, so show you right there. Here's the two clips, and like I said, these are the three hinges, so kind of came out like that. So we want to pry out on those two. And then for the plastic trim piece here, we're going to want to pry from the bottom and avoid the hinges on the top. So what I'm actually going to do is go right in here in the corner, get right under it, and just start working our way down. All right. Again, you can see the metal clips here. That's what we're popping out, and we're avoiding the little retaining hinges. All right, with the two panels removed, the next step is to push out the grommet where the third brake light wire goes through. So the easiest way I've found to do this is just reach in from the inside, and we're just gonna push out and remove the grommet. It'll pop right out. The next thing that we're gonna need is a knife or a pair of side cutters because we're actually gonna make a small kind of incision in the grommet so that we can run our camera wire through. So let me go grab a knife and I'll show you exactly how to do that. All right, so this is the important safety message portion of this install. Please be careful when you're doing this. You don't want to slip, cut yourself, or cut the wire. So one of these little knives works just fine. I recommend if you feel more confident wearing a glove or just some sort of towel. That way you can use it to hold the grommet and protect yourself. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to make a longitudinal cut from the top all the way to the bottom, kind of open up a hole there where we can feed the wire through. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll show you how to run the wire through and re-secure the grommet. said, you can take your time in doing this. First pass, I just did a light kind of cut. That way I can mark my path, and then we can slowly start to work away at the rest of the grommet. We do not want to cut the third brake wires. All right, now I have the grommet carefully cut all the way through. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rotate where the incision that we made is gonna face down. We don't want any sort of water intrusion to go into the vehicle. So we're gonna place the grommet back on the connector that was there. We will approximate our wire here. We're going to feed the wire into the cut. Take the 4-pin connector and push it through the tailgate. And then we're going to take the grommet and we're going to push everything back in until it's nice and seated. So at this point, we're going to grab a couple of zip ties and we'll just do some wire management here, and then we'll get ready to continue with the backup camera installation. With our backup camera wire now run through the tailgate, the next thing that we're going to want to grab is the backup camera extension harness. So real quick on this, the two ends here, obviously you got the one end that connects to the camera wire that we just ran. It's going to be a little black 4-pin connector. It's going to have this adapter on it that is going to adapt it over to some RCAs. And then the long length of the wire, this is what we're going to run all the way up to the front of the Jeep and eventually end up behind the head unit. So for right now, we're going to just concern ourselves with the one end. What we want to do is run the camera wire. We're going to go through the inside of the tailgate and come out right here where you see this main wiring harness. We're going to pretty much follow this along the inside of the tailgate and then across the bridge here to get into the Jeep. So kind of one of the easiest ways to do this is start by putting your adapter in. You can fish it through and grab it with the other hand. And then we are going to line up the connectors here. Kind of hard to see probably on camera, but on this one end there's an arrow, and then there's an arrow on the other connector. We just want to line up those, and we're going to give it a push and make sure it's all the way good and tight pushed in. Then what we can do is pull the excess back towards the tailgate. All right, at this point, if you have some tape laying around, we always suggest to tape up these connections. That way they stay nice and secure and protected while they're in your tailgate. So I'm gonna grab some tape, we'll do that, and we'll keep on going. All right, now we have our connection all taped up. One little quick important note, you'll see there's these two wire loops right here next to the camera connection. The white wire is going to control the mirror image. So if when we get ready to hook it up, if the image left to right isn't relevant to what you're supposed to be seeing, we're going to cut the loop of the white wire, and that will essentially flip or mirror the image. The small green loop will get rid of the grid lines that come already on the backup camera. So if it's your preference to just have a camera view and not the grid lines, you're going to cut the green wire. So for right now, we're going to leave all the wires alone because we want to see what it looks like before we go cutting any wires. But just know that those are here and that's what they're there for. So now that we have that connected, we're going to follow, like I said, this main harness here. So the best thing to do is just zip tie. You can see where the factory connectors are here. We're just going to zip tie this along and keep it tucked out of the way. So let's grab another handful of zip ties, and just to make everything a little cleaner, I'm actually going to pull some of this back into the tailgate just to get it out of the way so that all of our connections here are the most protected that they can be. All right, so we'll get it to right about there where you see the spider loom is, and then we'll secure up the rest of this here in a second. So we'll start with one zip tie. We're just going to leave these kind of loose for a second until we get it to where we want it to go, and then we will secure everything up. So we'll take our excess wire here, and we're going to just tidy it up right here. See, we just zip tied it right here to where the wire is. That way it's accessible if we need it, but it's nice and tucked out of the way. And we'll just continue on with our zip ties here. I'm just going to keep pulling the slack out of the wire, keep everything nice and tight and clean looking. Now that we have these first 4 or 5 started, we can go ahead and just tighten them all down. And don't forget to grab your cutters and cut off the excess zip tie. All right, carrying on towards the front of the vehicle, we've now reached where the wire chase goes from the tailgate to the body of the Jeep. So we're gonna just kind of, again, tuck this through. We're gonna stay right with that wire. Again, zip ties here are your friend. Now, when we reach the portion where the wire needs to go into the back of the Jeep, we'll go ahead and feed the extra up. Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna go right where the plastic meets the back of the body. We're gonna just follow it around and then go towards the outside, the passenger side of the Jeep. All right, so when you get to where the wire jumps over from the tailgate to the body, make sure that your tailgate's all the way open for this so that when you zip tie it, that it has, you know, maximum amount of slack there. Last thing you wanna do is have it kind of not all the way open, and then the next time you go and open your tailgate all the way, it pulls it too tight. So again, like I said, make sure you have your tailgate all the way open when you're doing this step. All right, so panel removal tool time again. We're just gonna insert it here, and all we're really trying to do is just work ourselves enough of a space to get the wire for your backup camera tucked in. So sometimes it's just easier to use the tool to kind of push the wire in. All right, so with a little bit of work, it definitely will fit right through there without having to remove the plastic trim panel here. Again, just kind of using the edge of the tool, working it in, gently pushing it in and around. You can get it right behind this plastic panel. Now, from this point, it's generally pretty easy. Just, we're gonna tuck it away behind the carpet. We're gonna go right down the passenger side of the Jeep, going below the doors and up towards the radio. So let's go ahead and keep doing that. All right, so here's the area where we ran the wire behind the plastic. So now we're over here on the carpeted portion. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run behind the support here for the roof. And when you pull the carpet back, you just literally reach in and pull it back, you'll see that there's a main wiring harness there. We're gonna follow this main wiring harness and just zip tie throughout the way, and then we're gonna go towards the back door on this 4-door Jeep. So go ahead and pull our wire around the support there. This is the easiest. We're gonna go around the seat belt here, and we're gonna set this in the back seat because that's the way that we're headed. So again, zip ties. We'll just secure our backup camera wire to this main wiring harness. All right, so 2 right there should be good. All right, with that secured, we're just gonna tuck the carpet back up under the edge, and we'll move to the back seat and continue running our wire. All right, so picking up where we left off right here, we're gonna peel back the carpet going down the door jamb here. You can see that main wire harness is still right there. So same story as before. We're just gonna follow that. We're gonna zip tie every so often, and we're gonna work our way all the way down here to the bottom of the B pillar. Just wanna make sure we keep our wire nice and tight to the main harness. And this one here at the bottom, I would zip tie right next to this retainer. That way we know that it's good and secure. And we'll put one more right here in the bend. All right, clean this up and we'll keep moving forward. And don't forget to put your carpet back as you move along. Now we're at the bottom of the B pillar. Like I said, this is 4-door. So we are going to just kind of pull the carpet back, and then we're going to just tuck the camera wire under the plastic of the B pillar. And that'll get us through. Once you get the wire under the plastic, you can use your panel tool. Just kind of scoot that underneath. Make sure it's good and push back out of the way. Take the rest of our wire and we'll move it to the front seat now. Just keep tucking, and that works real nice. All right, done with the back seat, onto the front seat. Now we have the wire in the front seat. So what we're gonna do right here along this kick panel, there's one little Christmas tree right there. We're gonna use our removal tool. We're gonna pry back up on it, pop that out of the way, set that right there for right now. And then we're gonna keep running our camera wire. I'm just gonna go right up under all this plastic, trim pieces. Again, you can use your fingers or you can use your pry tool like we did in the back seat. Just want to make sure that the wire gets past where that Christmas tree connector is going to go back in. Keep working our way along. All right. Reach under there and make sure our wires are nice and out of the way. Grab our Christmas tree. Push it back into place, and we're going to keep going along the bottom of the A pillar, and then we're going to start working our way towards the back of the radio. Again, we can pull the floor mat back or take it out. Let's just go ahead and take it out so we can show you what we're doing here. We're going to continue this wire along the edge. Again, sometimes panel tool makes it a little easier to get everything tucked away nicely. We've cleared the plastic. We'll give it one more swipe. Make sure that wire is nice and tucked. Then we can reach up. So there's 2 retainers here holding the carpet and kind of pin them in place. These you can just lefty-loosey and take them right off. And we're going to take both of them off. Go ahead and pull the carpet out. The great thing about these Jeeps is carpet is really easy to remove. We will tuck that around, and then we will tuck our carpet back into place and re-secure our 2 little retainers. Now that we have our wire all the way around the carpet, the next thing we need to do is get from the footwell here up to behind the radio. So kind of the easiest way to tackle that is we're actually going to take the glove box out. So go ahead and pop it open. Pinch in on the sides, and the glove box will just pop right out. Now that we have this space opened up, you see there's lots of room down here in the dash, so we're gonna find our wire and just kind of feed it up through, kind of wherever you can. You should be able to just reach in and get your fingers to touch there. And we'll go ahead and gently pull this through. Again, just take all the tangles out kind of as we go here. Let's go from here to behind the radio. From where the right vent is here, it's actually a pretty straight shot down the side of this, kind of where the panel is here. So I think that's the route we're going to take. Yep, there we go. Got the RCA through. All right, and there are our wires. So that is perfect. That is just about the length we need. So we got our power and our ground and our video cable. So at this point, we are ready to grab the radio, make all of our final connections, and get it set in the dash so that we can test everything and all its functionality. Starting from the back left of the radio, we have the USB adapter. As you remember from before, we already ran that down and it is connected. The next is going to be the main wiring harness. So a couple of connections here. The first one we come to is the red and black pigtails. This is going to be for your reverse camera power and ground. So we'll find our reverse camera. And then we're just going to match black wire to black wire and red wire to red wire. Make sure that you give these bullet connectors a nice firm push and that they're all the way seated. We'll finish off the backup camera with the yellow RCA. On the back of your Sony head unit, you'll find a cluster of RCAs here. All of them will have one that says camera in on the label. So we're going to remove the cap here and we'll plug that in. So if you have a piece of tape or some tape handy, let's just go ahead and throw a strip on that RCA connection. Let's go back to home. We're going to hit the rear camera. And you can see that our rear camera popped up. One of the neat things about the Bantam Overland camera is kind of this flashing stop thing. So a lot of the other cameras on the market, you get the static grid lines, but this one definitely gives you a definitive warning that you're about to back into something. So that's obviously a very nice feature. You even have the option to add other grid lines if you wanted to. So that's rear camera off of the screen. The other thing we can do is shift into reverse. And there you can see the backup camera populated as well. Here's those additional grid lines. I'm going to tap the screen to turn those off. So that seems to be functioning. Now is a good time to go to the back of the vehicle, double check, make sure your camera image for your backup camera, if you selected that at checkout, is the way that you want it. After the camera image is to your liking, you can go ahead and put on the back tire and put the tailgate back together. So we're going to grab the two interior panels off of the tailgate. We'll get those replaced and then we'll get our tire mounted and we'll go up front. We'll start with the little vents here. Again, the hinge is going to go towards the outside of the tailgate. Line that up. That just pops right back in place. Grab our other trim piece. Again, remember the little clips or the hinges here were on the top of the tailgate. So we'll line those up. Push all the clips in. And right down here on the inside where we ran the wire through, just make sure that they're kind of out of the way enough so you can get the panel back on there. That should be enough room. They both will clip in and everything will be secure. Before we get the tire mounted back up, do yourself a favor, grab your lug nuts and your tool. That way you don't have the tire up and then all of a sudden you forgot what you did with the lug nuts. So we're going to set them right here on the bumper. And we'll put our tool right here so that way when we get it up here in a second, we'll have everything we need. So let me grab the tire, give it a spin, make sure we got our Jeep logo lined up. Lift this up, gently put it into place. All right. Grab one of our lug nuts. Always start these with your fingers. Last thing we want to do is cross thread. Now that we have those holding the tire on, you can see where the vertical adjustment in the Bantam Overland backup camera mount comes in handy. So you do have some ability to go up and down. For our installation, I think I'm pretty happy with that. But if you need to do any fine-tune adjustments, now is the time to do that. Like I said, depending on the wheel that you have on here, you might need to use the articulating extension. For the factory wheel, we don't have to do that. So we're going to go ahead and tighten down the lug nuts. If you're looking for more premium products for your Jeep, including head units, speakers, lighting, and off-road accessories, look no further than Bantam Overland. One of the best ways to see when our new products are released is to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and check us out in the shop at www.bantamoverland.com. Have a blast out there.